What if I told you that most real millionaires don't live in Beverly Hills or drive shiny new cars? They're not flashing diamond watches or posing beside yachts. They're quietly stacking wealth where nobody notices. There's a book called The Millionaire Next Door. It's based on years of research on actual self-made millionaires. And what the researchers found completely flips the popular idea of wealth that society has sold us for decades. The average millionaire doesn't live in a mansion or wear designer suits. They blend in with everyday people around them. Most live in modest neighborhoods, drive used cars, and shop at regular stores without trying to look impressive. Because true wealth isn't about looking rich, it's about being free, independent, and in full control of your life. That's what this story's about. How ordinary people quietly build real wealth while everyone else is chasing status. Meet Grace Groner, a humble secretary who spent her life working at Abbott Laboratories in Illinois. Back in 1935, she bought 180 worth of Abbott stock and simply never sold it. She reinvested every dividend patiently. Grace lived in a small house, never married, never bragged, and quietly let compound interest do all the heavy lifting. When she passed away in 2010, she shocked her town by donating over $7 million to her local college. Meanwhile, in the 1990s, rapper MC Hammer was earning over $30 million every single year. He bought a 40,000 square foot mansion, hired 200 staff, and filled his garage with luxury cars. Yet by 1996, he filed for bankruptcy, proof that high income doesn't automatically mean lasting wealth. See, Grace Groner never flexed, but she built freedom. MC Hammer flexed, but lost everything chasing an image. Real wealth doesn't scream. It whispers, quietly, steadily, on its own timeline. So let's uncover how these silent millionaires actually think about money and how you can follow the same path. The first rule sounds boring, but it's the most powerful wealth-building move you can ever make. Live below your means. Rich people resist the urge to upgrade every time their income rises. They don't let lifestyle creep drain their savings. Lifestyle creep is that invisible trap where every raise disappears into bigger apartments, newer gadgets, and endless spending. It's like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in the bottom. No matter how much you pour, it never fills. Quiet millionaires plug that hole by spending intentionally, not emotionally. They buy only what truly adds long-term value. Look at Keanu Reeves, a man worth hundreds of millions who still takes the subway and gives away much of his income. Or Sarah Blakely, the billionaire founder of Spanx, who drove a used car for years after becoming a millionaire. Because wealth isn't about upgrading your lifestyle. It's about maintaining your discipline and protecting your future choices. Living below your means doesn't mean living like a monk. It means being the boss of your own money. It's the difference between asking, "Can I afford this?" and "Do I actually need this?" That tiny question changes everything. When you control your spending, you gain the rare kind of power that flashy people secretly envy. Real freedom. Freedom to say no, freedom to walk away, freedom to live without needing anyone's approval or paycheck. The second rule of quiet millionaires is equally powerful. Invest early, invest steadily, and let time do the work. Remember Grace Groner? She didn't trade daily or chase trends. She simply bought and held through decades. That's compound interest, the most patient, unstoppable force in all of finance, quietly turning small seeds into forests. Imagine two friends, Sarah and Mike. Sarah starts investing $200 a month at age 22. She stops after 8 years. Mike starts at 30 and keeps investing for 35 years straight. Guess what? Sarah still ends up richer than Mike because time beats effort, and patience always wins the game. Warren Buffett said it perfectly. My favorite holding period is forever. Simple, boring, yet unbelievably effective advice. So don't wait for the perfect moment. There isn't one. Start now, keep going, and trust the math of compounding. The earlier you plant your tree, the stronger its roots grow. Delay and you'll spend decades catching up. Quiet millionaires aren't fortune tellers. They're gardeners, planting early and letting time build their forest. The third rule is where most people stumble, avoiding the trap of chasing status to impress others. We all feel the pressure to look successful, the fancy car, the skyline apartment, the designer bag for validation. But the truth is, the moment you start buying to impress, you're playing a losing game with no finish line. Ronald Reagan didn't play that game. He worked as a janitor, lived simply, and quietly amassed over $8 million. People around him had no idea. because he never cared about looking rich, only about being financially free. Quiet millionaires aren't stingy, they're strategic. They buy used cars not to be cheap, but because depreciation is real. They wear simple clothes because their confidence isn't rented from logos or luxury brands. They spend deliberately not for attention, but for alignment with their goals and peace of mind. The real flex isn't a Lambo. It's being able to say no to a job you hate because you don't need the paycheck. That's the status that truly matters. Freedom over approval, calm over chaos, and quiet wealth over loud insecurity. Now let's look at a part most people ignore. How quiet millionaires raise financially smart kids who stay wealthy. Because building wealth once is hard, but keeping it across generations requires wisdom, not just numbers in a bank. Picture two families. One lives big, gives their kids everything. The other lives modestly, teaches budgeting and patience. 20 years later, the second family usually keeps their wealth because wisdom lasts longer than inheritance. Thomas Stanley, author of The Millionaire Next Door, called this economic outpatient care, a hidden financial disease. It happens when parents keep rescuing grown kids financially, robbing them of confidence and responsibility. Real millionaires do the opposite. They teach their kids how to earn, save, invest, and think independently. They know wealth without wisdom is like handing a sports car to someone who's never learned to drive. That's why people like Peter Dini, known as Mr. Money Mustache, focus on financial education at home. His son fixes bikes, runs small businesses, and learns investing early. Money talk is normal in their house. Financial literacy isn't about greed. It's about giving your kids tools to build freedom for themselves. Because the goal isn't to raise rich kids, it's to raise free, independent, and grounded human beings. And that mindset brings us to the deeper truth behind every quiet millionaire's success. Wealth is a tool, not a trophy. They don't chase money to impress. They use money to buy time, peace, and control over their own schedule. Imagine your life as a garden. You don't rush to harvest early. You water the soil and trust the process. Ronald Reagan never acted rich or bragged. He simply let time, patience, and discipline compound quietly behind the scenes. The neighbor driving an old Toyota might secretly be a millionaire because his goal is freedom, not validation. His philosophy is simple. I'd rather be wealthy than look wealthy. And that sentence defines real financial maturity. Quiet millionaires are patient builders. They trade instant pleasure for long-term peace of mind. They understand that building wealth is a marathon. Slow, steady, sometimes boring, but incredibly rewarding. They embrace the unexciting parts, budgeting, saying no, tracking expenses, and staying invested even when it's dull. Studies show that this calm, consistent mindset predicts success more than IQ, luck, or even income level. So how do you apply this to your own life starting today? Let's get practical for a moment. The first habit, track every dollar. Awareness creates control. You can't fix what you don't measure. Use an app or notebook, and you'll be shocked where your small leaks actually are every single month. Second, automate your savings. Set it up so money moves directly into investments before you can spend it. It's like paying your future self first. A quiet but powerful act of discipline, repeated month after month. Benjamin Graham once said, "Don't save what's left after spending, spend what's left after saving." Third, embrace the word no. Every time you say yes to impulse spending, you trade freedom for fleeting pleasure. Saying no to what doesn't matter creates space to say yes to what truly does, your independence. Fourth, stay curious about money. Read, listen, and learn, not to brag, but to understand the system you live in. Financial education isn't optional anymore. It's the language of freedom, the map to navigate modern life. Start small, maybe one article a week, one podcast, or one money discussion with a friend. Knowledge compounds just like money does, slowly, invisibly, and then all at once. The fifth habit, invest regularly, even tiny amounts. Time and consistency beat timing and talent every single time. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. Wealth grows for those who stay in the game, not those watching from the sidelines. Every paycheck is a choice. Consume today or plant seeds for tomorrow's peace. Quiet millionaires always choose the second. They know real confidence doesn't come from clothes, cars, or luxury trips. It comes from options and control. That's why freedom is the highest status symbol in the modern world. Not attention, not fame, just autonomy. You don't need to make millions to live like a millionaire. You need to think, act, and save like one. It begins with small daily habits, skipping unnecessary upgrades, delaying gratification, and staying consistent for years. Wealth isn't built by luck, it's built by intention, discipline, and time, the quiet trio no one posts about online. The world celebrates spending, but the wise celebrate patience. That's the ultimate rebellion in a consumer economy. True millionaires find joy in progress, not in flexing. They compete only with yesterday's version of themselves. They see money as energy. The more you direct it wisely, the more power it gives back to your life. Each dollar you save is a tiny worker buying you future freedom, an employee that never sleeps. When you see money that way, your relationship with it changes completely. You stop chasing and start commanding. Quiet wealth is built in silence, while everyone else is busy making noise to look successful. It's built in ordinary homes, through ordinary jobs, by people who simply stayed consistent for decades. Grace Groner did it. Ronald Reid did it. Countless others quietly did it too. No spotlight needed. The formula is timeless. Spend less than you earn, invest early, avoid debt, and ignore the crowd. Protect your peace more than your image, and you'll always end up richer, emotionally and financially. Freedom isn't loud. It's the soft satisfaction of knowing you're safe, independent, and in control of your choices. When you live below your means, money becomes a servant, not a master. And that's where real power begins. When you invest early, time becomes your ally, quietly compounding your patience into prosperity. When you ignore status, you escape the race that keeps most people tired, anxious, and endlessly broke. And when you teach others, your kids, friends, or community, you multiply that freedom across generations. Wealth is not a finish line. It's a rhythm, a mindset, a quiet lifestyle built on awareness and self-respect. You don't need a mansion to feel rich. You need time, health, and the power to choose your own day. Quiet millionaires figured this out early. That's why they seem calm, grounded, and almost invisible to the world. Their success doesn't sparkle. It glows quietly from a life built on peace instead of pressure. And here's the beautiful part. Anyone can live like that, starting right where they are today. You don't need to be perfect, just consistent. You don't need to be rich, just intentional. Every choice you make, what you buy, what you save, what you learn, shapes your financial future quietly. Quiet wealth is the result of hundreds of these small, smart, silent decisions stacking on top of each other. So stop chasing noise and start building substance. That's where freedom begins and flexing ends. One day you'll realize that wealth was never about the car, the clothes, or the applause. It was about control. Control of your time, your energy, your emotions, and your ability to live life on your own terms. That's what the millionaire next door figured out, and what anyone can achieve with patience and discipline. If this message resonated with you, share it, because somewhere out there, someone needs a quiet reminder to begin today.